Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special conversation with one of the greatest choreographers today, Mr. Hans Manen. He's here joining us from Holland. He has his world premiere today of 3 ballets, and he took the time to have a little conversation with us. I would like to thank the Board of Trustees for being here, all the staff, all the artists, students, subscribers, everyone that is here attending. Thank you so much, because this is a very important day for us. We would like to thank the Dutch Consulate through Dutch Cultural USA for their support. We have today in the panel for the conversation, we have Christine Stone-Martin. She's our general manager. And of course, our guest of honor, Mr. Hans Manen. We have a little video clip for you to watch. So here it is. So I'm going to read his bio, although his bio is very extended. We're going to do a little reduced bio of what Mr. Hans has done for so many years. Hans Manen is internationally recognized as one of the greatest choreographers. He has created more than 120 ballets, all carrying his unmistakable signature, and they're all being danced by all the greatest companies in the world. He has been the resident choreographer and director of Netherlands Dance Theater and resident choreographer for the Dutch National Ballet. He has won a number of awards, including the Sonia Gaskell Prize, the German Tanzpreis, the Bob Angelo Medallion, the highly prestigious Erasmus Prize for his outstanding achievement in Dutch dance, and the Benoit de la Danse, considered the Oscars of the ballet. And actually, he won this award for one of the ballets that we're performing, Variations for Two Couples. He's also an acclaimed photographer, and his work is being exhibited all over the world. Thank you so much for joining us, Hans. Hello, Hans. How are you?
I'm fine.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's a truly an honor to have you.
Believe me, it's a great pleasure for me.
Thank you.
It's such a pity that I could not come, because 7 or 8 hours in a plane, I can walk very well, I can rehearse very well, but sitting in a plane for 8 hours, the legs are going to give me an answer.
I know. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So let's just dive right into it. I know that your relationship with Philadelphia Ballet back in the day was Pennsylvania Ballet. It goes back to 1974, when you first came here, invited by our the founder of the company, Barbara Weisberger. What do you remember about that time? What is what are your thoughts about that time?
It's so nice to be asked again in Philadelphia, because I have from Philadelphia very good memories, and that has to do with Barbara Weisberger, who was the first director in America who asked me to come and teach my choreography to the company. And in that time, I didn't have assistants, so I did everything myself. That means I was a very, very long time in Philadelphia always. So I know the city very well, and I'm very happy to be back on that television.
Hans, could you describe for us your signature style and aesthetic?
Do you have a question for me?
Yeah, how
you want to be to hear something about Adagio Humankind? No? Say it again, Hank.
We didn't hear what you said.
What is?
Could you describe for us, how would you describe your signature style or aesthetic?
Oh, and I have to talk about my style. The thing is, I know that I have a style, and everybody says, "Oh, typical for man," if they see a ballet of me. But I am never busy with my own style, and that had to do. I did so many different things, from Beethoven to James Brown. Really, always very different kind of music. So, and then you make a lot of different ballets, of course. And of course, everybody sees that typical Hans van Manen, and I think they mean that is the style.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, what do you feel is most important to you in ballet then? What do you like to focus on?
With dancers, with ballets, yeah. Uh, you know, you're always part of a company, and let's say it's the 1st of January, and then 18th April, 2nd of September, 14th of November. So you know that you always have to make 3 ballets a year. So you go from ballet to ballet. The first thing, which is very important for me, I asked the company, is it with orchestra or not? No, they say with piano. Okay, then I know piano. That means piano, not so many dancers. And that means that I know how many dancers I will choose, let's say 6 or 4. And then when I know exactly with which dancers I want to work, and then I think a little bit about it, and I know always how I start, and I know always how I end a ballet, but for the rest, I know nothing. And then I'm going after the music. And when I find the music, I go in the studio, and there I make my ballet because I never think of a step before I choreograph. I improvise everything with the dancers in the studio, and I love dancers, and I love dancers who are risky. So if I show them, so they go into it, and then immediately I see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. And if you work with risky dancers, often I say to them, leave it like that. If they make a mistake, fantastic, and I leave it in the choreography.
Yeah, it's true that all your ballets, they're very different from the other. I was incredibly honored to dance ballets like Grosse Fuge, of course, and 5 tangos, but I did In and Out, In the Future, Humankind. All these ballets, they're all very different from each other, but they all have something in common, and it's your iconic shape of the hands and shape of the arms.
That's
And
right.
would you be able to demonstrate the position of the arms so everyone could understand, your signature style?
Now, it's of course so that everything is classical based, so that do always like this. So I didn't want to do it. I turned the hands slowly, and that are the typical Van Manen arms. When I worked with Nuria, he always said to me, "Do I have the crucifixion arms?" Yes.
we call it
Yeah.
call it very warmly Hans hands.
Yeah.
So it's got our own signature Hans hands. But your ballets, they all have also a very important relationship between men and women, although they don't have a story. There's a lot about men and women, or men and men, on women and women. Is it something that you really strive for that relationship in your ballets?
No, there are things come very normally to me, very normally. And there's one thing, and that is women and men in all my ballets are 50-50. And in my ballets, um, uh, girls never go on their knees for a man, never. The opposite, maybe I do, because I find that nice. But they're absolutely equal. And the German critic always says that I emancipated women in dance. Yeah, I always listen to it, and I think maybe it's true, but I think it's true. Yes.
Yeah, because you were really ahead of your time in equalizing women on stage.
Yeah. And so women and men are equal for me. There's no difference between them.
Yeah, and I think that is very clear in Grosse Fuge especially, and the way that the relationship is created, it's really special. So Christine.
In my ballet, women are very strong, and they're strong as the man. So if the man is a little bit aggressive, the women too. So at the end of the ballet, we hope that they are part of each other, but I leave that to the audience.
To see who won. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the beginning of the ballet, the women just standing there. It's so striking.
Yeah.
Can we talk about variations for two couples for just a moment? This is a premiere for the Philadelphia Ballet, and we are honored that this is now the 7th of your ballets to join the company's repertoire.
It's also a premiere for Philadelphia, and it's also a premiere in America. You are the first company who are doing it.
Yes. Wonderful. We're so honored. Can you take a moment and speak a little bit about the relationships of the couples? This is a more recent work for you. Can you talk about their relationships?
Well, the relationships in my ballet are always the same. There's not a story, but it's always about human relationships. And that has to do with, in my choreography, blikrichting. That's a very difficult word. We try to find the word blikrichting. It's a way where your eyes are looking at.
Gaze direction.
Who? Gaze direction.
Gaze.
Yes, and that's in my. So they always look at each other. And the moment you look to each other, you see there's a relation between people. And you see often pas de deux, and they haven't looked a moment to each other in the ballet. And it's a love duet. I don't understand that. So even if they don't dance with each other, I never wanted to have them look right in the audience, but also in front of them. And if they leave the change, they have to leave where they go and where they look. So looking is so important for me. And if you will see that also in the variation with two couples, they always look to each other. If they can, they will. And that's important. And then you see there's a relationship between them. And in my steps, you will see how it's going to end.
Yeah, it's a beautiful and very challenging ballet. It's very challenging for the dancers. The steps are really difficult to execute well. So
it's maybe the last ballet I've done. I did a solo for Martin Schlepper, which is the director of Vienna. And since then, I don't choreograph anymore. I stopped with it. And it aren't 120 ballets, it are 150 ballets. And I think 150 ballets are enough. I'm nearly 90 years old, and I don't want to hear that it happened that they say, oh, and then he was 92 and he still made a ballet. I would say over my dead body.
I'm sure that we would love to see any of your new ballets anyway, but I don't blame you either. So you've worked with every company around the world, but especially for 5 tangos, you chose tango music and the tango style, Astor Piazzolla's music. What made you go into that style? What made you think about tango and the music of the genius Astor Piazzolla?
Well, I like ballroom dancers. I always looked to ballroom dancers, so I saw a lot of tangos, but it was different. I worked in Berlin, and Horst Köhler, which is was a very important ballet critic in Germany, and we were invited by Klaus Geitel in Berlin at a dinner, and at the dinner I heard constantly music, and I asked him, what is that for music? And he said, don't you know that? That is Astor Piazzolla. Know it. And when I left, he gave me 10 records. And when I came home, and 1.5 years later, I made immediately that ballet 5 tangos. And that was in 1977. And Astor Piazzolla was aware of it. So he came to a performance in the hall and he was really excited about it. And he became a friend of mine. And when he left Europe for the last time, and he didn't go to Argentina because they were not so nice to him in Argentina, he went to Uruguay. And he dedicated 2 records for me. And so I knew him very well, so I know the music very, very well. And it was so nice to make a music, a ballet on his music. That ballet I made, I think in 14 days. In Holland we say, you do so with your sleeve and it rolls out. And the ballet was done immediately, and it was even easy to make it.
Yeah, no, I have to say my little review is that the Five Tangos is the only ballet that successfully merges tango with classical ballet. I've seen a lot of ballets that are trying that, but it's Five Tangos is the only one, and it's probably one of the ballets that is performed most all over the world, isn't it? With Grosse Fuge and Humankind.
Say it again.
That Five Tangos is one of your ballets that is performed the most all over the world, isn't it?
That's right. That's absolutely right. Humankind also. Humankind is at 71, 1971. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, 1973. Henk is sitting beside me, my partner, and he knows everything.
Yeah, we actually performed Hamid Clavier a couple of years ago, if you remember. So yes, it's also as well as Grosse Fuge. They're ballets that are timeless.
I shall. It's the ballets, of course, about adagio, and adagio is very, very slow. So I give you an example. If you have a hoop, a wheel, and you push the wheel, then the wheel will go and go and go and go, and suddenly it falls. Just before the wheel falls, there starts adagio. That has everything to do with balance, because quick you have it all a balance, but it's very, very slow everything. Then everything is done and choreographed on the balance, and that is the most important thing about adagio career. The extreme slowness in the last part of the example. And if the partner from the girl has to do it well, he has to put her exactly in balance. Otherwise, she cannot do her next steps visible.
It's always that extreme stretching all the way until the end. Until, you know, you feel like the elastic is gonna snap, but it doesn't. It's
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the end is very important. I found out that's so nice that you know, everybody, also the audience, you know, a grand jeté, that the woman is lifted and they go lifting into the in the wings, you see. And I thought, no, I don't do that. He stops her in the air and he turns her around, and then she sees that the stage is empty, everybody is gone. And then they leave the stage too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment. Yeah.
And it's always nice if you know before that you're going to do it. That means 10 steps before you have to make the end, then up, suddenly you know that you have to do it. And don't ask me where it comes from, I don't know, but I'm always sure about myself that it will come.
That's what I was going to ask. You know, where do you get your inspiration? It's and we sort of talk about it before. Is that, you know, a lot of it, the dancers, they give it to you at the moment in the studio. I'm sure.
That's right. That's absolutely true. But inspiration, well, yeah, I don't know where it comes. Inspiration comes from everything. I know a lot about paintings. I have a fantastic, what have I I have a nice art collection. All that is inspiration. So, but the word inspiration, everybody is using it. It's nearly a word of the mode today. And I always remember that I read that book, of course, by Stravinsky and Picasso. They didn't like the word inspiration either. So they called I steal wherever I can.
Yeah, you would. That's actually a good thing because you might have to choreograph to, something with cell phones today. Unfortunately, how the world is going, instead of, choreographing to beautiful paintings, now the world of the cell phones and all of that, it's something that is,
That's right. Yeah. Still, and still doesn't mean imitate. Hey, imitate is something else. But you have sometimes as you see things and you say, oh, fantastic. But you can also do that with it. And the one who made the first thing wasn't there. But you as a spectator see immediately and think, oh, that's a fantastic idea. There you can play with it too. And that's stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Hans, if you were here in person working with our company, with our dancers, what would be your primary focus? What would you ask of the dancers in rehearsal?
Now, yeah, it's such a pity that I cannot see them because I love dancers. But okay, you come into the studio and you say hello to everybody, and everybody applauds, and then you're going to sit. And then I will say to them, we do a run through. You don't stop, and then I make fun. If everybody stops, he will be immediately, huh? He will be fired immediately for fun, I say that, of course. So don't stop. And if you make a mistake, I don't care. You do a run through and you dance the whole ballet for me. And it's amazing if you work like that, you see immediately a fantastic performance. And afterwards, of course, you can say details here and there. And that's more a regie than that you tell them something about the steps. I always tell them how they should do it. And in every other company you come, there are always fantastic people, and they dance on a personal way. And that personal way, I always try to keep intact, because I find that very, very important. Because if they, well, it's like that, you go to a great pianist and okay, you hear that sonata from Beethoven by other pianists too, but everybody playing it a little bit different, and the notes are always the same. So also dancers from another company can produce my ballet and do it also even if they do the steps right, and they try to do my stuff, but they can be personal, and I love that. So I hope in Philadelphia, and I hope that dancers hear me, because then they feel okay.
As I was mentioned before, Hans, they're loving doing your ballets, and they're putting all their passion and everything into them. So I hope that you're very happy when you see it, at least when you see it on video.
Yes, and you will send me the video, because I find that very important.
We will. So your career extends for more than 65 years of choreographing. And your ballets, like I said before, they're so iconic in every company's repertoire. Why do you think that companies are still, your ballets are still relevant today, and they have a very important message to tell everyone? That, like I said, Grosse Fuge, it's still today as fresh as it was when you first choreographed it. So why do you think that is? Is it had to do with the relationship between women and men, or why do you think that is?
No, I'm very, very I'm a constructivist. Anyway, a constructivist. I am. So I always, well, it's very important in choreography that you go from A to Z. That means, and we call that
Dramaturgie. Dramaturgie.
Ja, dramaturgie is that. They use dramaturgie by the stage, opera, but dramaturgie is very important. That means if you start, everything must be logical, that everything goes from one into the other. If you see a balancing ballet, which is always my great inspiration my whole life long, even if my ballet don't look so much like balancing, but anyway, and it's so logical that as a spectator, you go with the logic, and that means that the ballet tells the ballet itself. There are always people are afraid that they don't have enough knowledge about ballet. I know have people knowledge about music. They can sing the whole ninth of Beethoven out of their head, and then you know everything. And more knowledge you don't need. And that's with the ballet, with my ballets also. I think it will, if you look at it and it's logical for your feeling what you see, and then you go easily with the ballet. You go easily with the ballet from the beginning until the end. There won't be any problem. And I always wanted that it should be like that. So I find that very important. Yeah.
I think art should be enjoyed. I mean, understood too, but I think that definitely should be enjoyed. And if you enjoy a painting or you enjoy a book or a beautiful ballet, that's what it's about. I think that is important to create that connection between human beings in a beautiful way. And you definitely do it with all your ballets.
No, I have also a good sense of humor. And even in my very serious ballets, there are moments that there comes a laugh on your face. And the nice thing about humor is it makes distance. And that's very important.
Do you bring a lot of your personality and a lot of your personality, but your personal experiences in your relationships into your ballets, or you keep it separate?
No, I don't have secrets. Yeah, of course I have them. You can ask for it. Maybe I will say yes, but you never know. No, in fact, I have no problem with anything. If I make a ballet for two men, then I know exactly that I make a ballet for two men. But it should be made like that there is that distance. And I'm not going, I've never made a ballet where somebody is dying. Dying is, you know those ballets, so there's somebody's dying, it's always successful. If you end with somebody who is dying, always successful. Over my dead body, I will never do that. I leave everything open because I think in life, everything is open and it must open. And if you can make it so far that it is open, also in relationships, that's, I think, very important. So see that also in my ballets. It's also about relationships, but it's always open. I don't make a drama of it. Drama for me is nearly commercial. Everything is today commercial. Yeah, really, even BBC News is commercial, because BBC News must also be nice for everybody, that everybody understands it, and they have a certain way of talking, and I find that commercial. So with me, no commercial, and it has never been necessary, because also I think the program you choose is not an easy program. It's not easy. It are very good ballets, and I'm extremely happy that you asked to do. I think those three ballets together, I'm very, very happy about that. And Also, Five Tangos is a serious ballet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's interesting that you mentioned Balanchine because I was actually going to ask you about him. I do see a bit of him in your work. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about how he influenced you?
Not only by looking him, if you can really explain inspiration, how you do that and how you get it, I would write a book about it in 40 days, and then 3 months later, I'm a millionaire. It's the same question as how you make a success. Nobody knows how you make a success, because if you knew how to make a success, then everybody could do that. And it would be in 40 days, multi-millionaire. There's no
What do
answer.
you,
There's no answer on that. How? Every time I see ballet of balancing, and that is already for 60 years. So every time I think, oh, fantastic, without being jealous.
yeah, what do you love most about his work?
A stupid answer, everything.
Hmm.
Really, everything. There's
Yeah.
not one ballet I don't like. And
Mhm.
ballets that I'm amazed, totally amazed, that I think, how did you find that? Everything you ask me, I think about it when I look to ballets of balancing. You see, I think the same, if you got the answer, it would be very nice, I mean, how you have to make balancing ballet. I wouldn't know how you make balancing ballet. I've never tried it. Of course not. I make my own ballets. But if I make a ballet, there are a few people who look over my shoulder when I am choreographer. And balancing is also somebody who looks over my shoulder and would say, good. Of course, it's like that, yes. But it's a good critic to have somebody who looking over your shoulders when you're working. And not only balancing, very good friends, also, people who don't even know me look over my shoulder.
Well, I think that we all feel the same way that you feel about Mr. Balanchine, that all your ballets are, wonderful, and there's not a ballet that it's not,
He's fantastic.
beautiful to watch. Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we're going to go into the audience questions. I think there's some questions that people would like.
I try to answer them.
Okay, so
Okay.
one of them is saying, what should audience focus on or explore while watching each of the ballets in the Humankind program, in our program?
Is that the question?
Yes, what people should be looking, or focusing into.
As I look to the 3 ballets, and you will first see if you are at the end of the program that you saw 3 totally different ballets. Adagio is a ballet on itself. En dan komt een variation for 2 couples, totally different. That goes very much on the pas de deux. They're very, very important, and those 2 couples are also very different, and that had to do with the 4 dancers I worked with. They were also very different, but I like to work with together with them, but they're also different. And then comes tango, and tango is a totally other thing. Everybody who's sitting in the audience have seen tangos, but I don't think that they have seen tangos in a ballet. And this was my own interpretation of a tango. I didn't try to imitate the tango, but I listened very, very good to the music of Piazzolla, and in a way he is very classic. It is not that there's enormous difference about the tangos of Piazzolla and all the other tangos in Brazil, in Argentina, but it is his music is so special that that was the great inspiration for me to do the ballet. And I never tried to do to imitate a tango, but a tango is in any way one thing that are always very close to each other, and that the man and the women also look to each other, and the man is absolutely leading, and the woman is absolutely doing what he wants, but on her own way, and that's how you can you see at a woman how it looks there. Yeah. So also that is 50-50, even if it's one leading and one is doing what the other one wants you led to do, and that is very important. So that was the inspiration for me to do the ballet. But it doesn't look at all like ballroom tangos. You will look like a ballet, and in fact, the ballets are not so different as the other two you saw before.
So someone is asking, how does your work as a photographer inform your work as a choreographer or vice versa?
I don't know exactly what you mean.
How your work as a photographer influences as a choreographer and vice versa.
That are totally two different things. When I was a photographer, I was a photographer and not a choreographer. Of course, I use dancers because of their fantastic trained bodies, but I use all kinds of bodies. And when you photograph a dancer and you say to a dancer, can you do a little bit to the right, and they do that. If you have a model, you say go a little bit to the right, and they do that, and everything is gone. But that's as a photographer, you do something totally else as a choreographer. And I stopped in '91 with photography because it took so much time for me, and I wanted to be, in fact, more a choreographer than a photographer. But I made a few beautiful books, and I was a good photographer, and I was very happy with that. And but as far as it goes now, I'm only a choreographer. Even if I don't choreograph anymore because 150 was enough. If I hear music, of course you think, and there you go.
Do you still choreograph in your head when you hear music?
Yeah. Oh, the most awful thing is in my dreams.
Oh.
That is terrible, but it always go wrong in my dreams. Wrong. It goes never fantastic, always wrong. Yeah.
And you don't photograph anymore? Not
No.
even for fun?
No, not for fun. You do it or you don't do it. For fun, you stay an amateur.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hans, there's another question in the chat from the audience. They're asking, what are your favorite qualities in the dancers you work with? And what do you look for when choosing dancers for your work?
Well, first of all, they should have a good technique, of course. Huh? They don't have to be a virtuoso, but you should have a technique that you can dance very well. And then it's always the personality, which is very, very important for me. And what I said before, I like dancers who are risky. And if you're risky and I show something for them and they do it immediately, fantastic. If you have a dancers who would be careful, and I show them something, they would do it, be careful. And then I see nothing, then I only see somebody who is careful. So if you're risky and immediately you throw yourself and you do what you have seen, that's all fantastic. But I like the personality of a dancer is for me very important because, and now I'm going to use the word inspiration. That, of course, dancers inspire me enormously.
Mhm. Someone is asking, yes.
Without dancers, it's nothing. And I don't use dancers as robots or as a pencil. Absolutely not. If I work with dancers, they're people. And I like people.
Yes.
You like the uniqueness of each,
I
you like the uniqueness of each individual.
absolutely, yeah. And before, when I was very young, I could shout a little bit at the front, but that's because the unsureness of yourself. But today I'm only nice, and I really do because now just by the Dutch National Ballet, I had a rehearsal for 3 ballets, and I have fantastic people who do business.
Stage it.
Huh?
Stage it.
Nee, mensen die voor me werken.
Ja, die stagers.
Nee, ze noemen we ze niet. Hoe noem ik mensen die... dat zijn mijn... waarvoor ik werk. Hè?
Assistenten.
Assistenten. My assistants are... to find the word in English, assistant. But anyway, my assistants are fantastic. They know me so well and they teach the ballet so well. So I had a run through with the dancers and they're waiting till I have to say something. And I said, I have nothing to say and thank you very much. 3 times. You know, it's fantastic if that happens. Of course, with the Dutch National, all the dancers know me. I worked years and years with them. But it happens. It's fantastic, you know. So I'm a happy old choreographer. And after if I don't choreography anymore, I will stay very happy. You can be sure, because I can still see that my ballet will be danced with other companies, and that's really fantastic. And believe me that I'm very happy that I'm again in Pennsylvania, because I really like Pennsylvania a lot, because they were the first city, the first company who asked me in America, and I will never forget that.
Thank you, Hans. And it's true that your stagers or assistants, they do bring the passion and try to share the passion with the dancers. The 3 stagers that are working with the dancers now, they're really bringing all that love and you know, passion that you have for the dancers into the studio. So that sort of represents who you really are, which is wonderful.
I thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah. So someone is asking, you know, you were an innovator when you started choreographing. How do you think that today's innovation has changed? Like choreographers today and how people are innovating today versus when you started? What is the difference, you think?
They are not so much interesting in history. And I find that stupid. If you don't know who Petit Pas was, and after Petit came Balanchine, and if you look to Balanchine, then you see that he looks very well to Petit Pas. And it should be like that. It happened in Holland that people who are teach after 4 years in the art, hoe zeg je, schilder, in the painting, they don't know who was Velasquez. And I cannot understand that. So if you don't know your history, then everything will stop, because you do what you think, what you have to do, but you repeat constantly yourself. And if you repeat constantly yourself, then it becomes uninteresting. But if you know where everything comes from, and that must be your great inspiration, and then you don't stick to one thing, then there will be many things which will be interesting. And I have a lot of, oh yeah, the word modern choreography, modern. Is there modern painting, modern literature? There's no modern. You're a writer or you're a painter, but you're a modern choreography. I don't understand that. So I think that modern is emancipated, because if you're a choreographer and it doesn't know what you're doing, but petit pas a choreographer, Ballet, so they are also choreographers, but not modern. So I think also that het word modern is, wat zei ik net, hè? Nee, om geld mee te verdienen, wat ik altijd zeg. Dus het is, nee, gewoon voor de poen, voor het... Ja, it's commercial. I think the word modern is commercial. I go a little bit far, but I really mean it. You are all choreographers, but not a modern choreographer. What is modern choreographer? And that everybody who goes to the theater knows I'm going to see modern choreography. No, they should go to the theater to see choreography. You think about Debussy or Satie, that's modern music. No, you go to the concert, you hear Satie of Debussy, and you don't talk about modern. So I think that's a pity, because that makes themselves, you cannot, every time you make a modern, you make a choreography, you are modern choreography. I don't understand it. I'm not modern, I'm a choreographer. And nothing more.
That's true.
Everybody be a modern, a choreographer. And that will, and then we will see what they show to us. And that's the most important thing.
Right.
There are just a few more questions in the Q&A. One is, what are some highlights of your dance career that were your favorite?
I don't have favorites. No, I don't have favorites. Absolutely not. Of course, everything I did, everything is done on video, but I never look at them. Never. No, I look at them only if it's necessary. Because I do now 4 Schumann pieces in Vienna, and I haven't seen the piece for a long time. So I asked Henk, can you show me 4 Schumann pieces, so that I have the ballet again in front of me. And the moment I see the ballet, I know everything. But if I don't see the ballet, I know nothing. Because if you made so many ballets with so much different kind of music, you cannot remember that. You have to see it. And the moment you see it, I know everything.
So someone is asking, has growing up in the Netherlands influenced your work? And if so, how?
Now, yeah, we started after the war. Before the war, there was some kind of expressionistic dance, and that came from Germany. But right after the war, we started, and because there was nothing, it made you, in fact, easy. And now the word inspiration again. I was looking very much in the 60s to America. And in America was a lot going on. And that was for us a great inspiration to look at that. Nou, noem de namen. Ja, Butler, Red Tetley, call them all. Graham, of course, and so many. So that was after the war, the dance theater our great inspiration, and we were very adventurous. So we could do what we want because there were no, was a voorbeeld?
Example.
There was no example.
Mhm.
So we could do everything, and the audience went completely with us. So so for 10 years long, so that was fantastic. So certainly Holland was very important for the dance in Europe. And in other countries, they found Holland very important for the dance. And it went because you're adventurous and that the public went with you, that the public was very important for us. Because whatever we did, even if it was wrong, it doesn't matter, they were there. And yeah, and if you are educated in that, and that was my education, so I went on with that kind of thinking.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. You have created, you know, history and dance, and a style that it's gonna go forever. And I think that, you know, a lot of the younger, this is kind of a question, younger choreographers that are coming out, they're looking now up to you and your choreography. What would you say to them, you know, that they're trying to find still their style or their vocabulary or their voice in the choreographic world? What would you say to them?
I would say, see everything you can, everything. Go to museum, go to concerts, go to all the ballet, all the dance performance you can. See everything. And if you see everything, you know suddenly how you have to do it. Sitting at home and thinking, that's not enough. The eyes are very, very important. So go to film, go to see everything, and that's all. That should be the school. That should be that should be your education. Yeah, and seeing is much better what everyone will tell you. Yeah. So I won't tell anything. I only will say to those people, open your eyes, do and go everything.
With that great advice, thank you so much, Hans. It's been a real honor to getting to know you a little bit more. And thank you so much for all the beautiful ballets that you have given us for so many years. And thank you so much for letting us do your 3 masterpieces on our next program. Nobody should miss it. And good luck for tonight's, well, Mayor, for tonight, for tonight's show.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.